Hi there. I'm hoping it's a great night for everybody. Yes, I'm very aware I can see my hair. It looks a little crazy. But it's just one of those days. What is that, like messy hair or don't care? Anyhow, welcome to Real Life Edition, Facebook Live. I have a great topic. I'm hoping that somebody that needs to hear it is out there. Know that happiness, I think, is something that we all struggle, and I'm hoping that happiness is something that we're all striving for. The topic tonight is how to be happy. And of course, I'm not necessarily an expert on this. I'm going to tell you about my own confessions here in a second, but I think it's important. I truly, truly believe that we are all on this earth to be happy and to help each other. And I think that there's so much garbage and negativity going on in the world right now that it's really important that, we band together and we really do work to help each other become happy because, what else do we have? Happiness is, well, we're going to talk about it. It's a state of mind. So anyway, hopefully everybody had a happy Halloween. I had a blast and I'm super excited I love Thanksgiving, so I'm good to go. I'm good to go for the next couple of holidays, although Christmas is a lot of work for me because I have such a big family, but anyway, it does give me happiness because, of course, one of the things that I love the most in my life is my family and what they mean to me and what we do. So let's talk a little bit about how to be happy. You should see it. I have some notes today. I do. I like to take notes. I like to study things. I like to think a little bit about how other people look at it because I know that we don't all look at things the same. So sometimes, somebody else might say things in a way that might make more sense to you than I may say it. So my job is just to kind of bring that out and hopefully you come up with something that works for you and hopefully you have a better life because of something that we've talked about. That's what this is about. And definitely make sure that you're posting some comments down below. I get excited with feedback and with others participating. So that's how that rolls. So, okay. So let's talk a little bit about how to be happy. First of all, and you can argue with me with this one all you want, but first, you actually have to want to be happy. Now, before you say, but Melissa, why would you say that? I wouldn't want to be happy. How many times have you been stuck in a hole somewhere in your life where you just refuse to climb out? Not too long ago, I did a Facebook Live, very emotional one actually. And of course, I don't like public emotion, so that was a really rough one for me. But I did one on why it's not okay to hate yourself. And I had somebody hop online. I don't know this person very well, but they were really just complaining about how, they deserve to hate themselves and that this and this and this and this. And my comment was, do you even want to be happy? Because some of the things that I had said kind of got rebutted and I thought, wow, because the first thing you have to do is actually choose to want to be happy, because if you don't, you're going to stay exactly where you're at. So I know that's kind of an absurd concept, but it is true. You have to actually want to be happy. Now, confessions for Melissa. I know I've almost always got a smile, of course, unless you see me driving and then I have like this crazy focus face. But you know what? I'm not always happy. I'm not. I struggle with it just like everybody else. There's days where I'm frustrated, especially when things don't go our way. We get a little bit frustrated. And of course, in my life, one of my biggest pet peeves that I have is when I feel like people don't respect me for whatever reason, whether it's as a person, as my career choice, or just, even sometimes when I ask for help. Very recently, I had somebody that I very much admire and respect really, really hurt my feelings. And normally I try really hard not to take offense, but I had reached up to this person for help and really wanted some help and was really kind of dumbfounded at how I was responded to. And so, I have days where I struggle. I mean, it really hit me hard and I had a really rough day because of it. I really had to kind of gather myself and figure out why that happened. I'm pretty good at looking back on things after the fact and figuring out what I learned from that situation. And sometimes, honestly, it's just as much as, you know what, I'm going to do this with or without you. I really don't care. You kind of have to move on and decide I let it light a fire under my butt. I mean, that's about the best way I can describe it. Because it's happened. It's happened a lot of times where I really feel like, okay, look at how hard I work and how much energy I put into it. And then I feel a little bit disrespected when I'm done. So that happens. I also, however, know that my attitude is a choice. And there was a time in my life that I tended to respond a little bit negatively to almost everything. A little bit in my younger years, I really had to catch myself and kind of reteach myself a little bit better response because partially it's how you do respond to things. You've heard the saying that life is 10% what happens to you and 90% in how you respond. And it's totally true. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But also realize that, just because you see me smiling doesn't always mean that I'm in a fantastic mood. Every once in a while you might catch me, I might slip and kind of let you know that I'm a little off for the day. But in general, what benefit does it give anybody else for me to be negative or unhappy or ruin somebody else's day in that fashion? So, just because I'm smiling doesn't mean that I'm in the best mood. But I really am practicing that even those days that I'm struggling, I want to put a smile on my face, because if I can make somebody else happy or feel good, then I have done my job. And a lot of times that alone changes my attitude and how I feel about the day. So let's talk a little bit about this. First of all, I know that we're all totally different personalities. That's what makes the world interesting, and it makes it go around. We can't all be the same, or we'd live in quite the boring world. But part of being happy, I understand, is partly innate. It's part of our personality. Some people are just more optimistic than others. Some are more positive. Some are more negative. That's just part of it, but it's only a part of it. It doesn't have to be 100%. Some of how we feel is chosen. It's just absolutely definitely chosen. So there is a theory, and again, I did some research on this. There's a theory that we all have a baseline of happiness that we all return to. This little research, there was a little blurb on WikiHow about they followed a certain amount of lottery winners for so many years and found that all of them at some point, of course, were initially excited and happy and about the benefit of winning the lottery, but that at some point after the fact, they still return to the same general baseline of happiness. And I found that really interesting because, of course, we all think, hey, if this would just happen in my life, I would just be so much happier, or if I would win the lottery, or if I would get a better job. But that's not always the case, because in general, we tend to return back to the same baseline of happiness. So keep that in mind, that, part of it is somewhat innate, but part of it is a chosen attitude. One of the interesting things that I heard, and of course I like quotes and things like that, but one of the most interesting things I heard years ago was that you cannot be positive and negative at the same time. It cannot inhabit the same space. So if you have a negative attitude at the moment, you can't call it positive, even if you just can't. They cannot coexist at the same time. So it has to be a choice on your part as to which you are at the moment. But just know that you can't be both at the same time. Now, can you have a response to a negative situation? Obviously, I mean, that life happens, right? But again, some of that is the response. Hi, Matthew. Hello from Vegas. Oh, very cool. Very far. Well, not very far away. I hope that your weather's better than ours, because I'm kind of jealous right now to anybody who's got some sun. Okay. So, part of being happy is, you have to be conscious of your thoughts. Okay. So I talk all the time about that, health is a chosen lifestyle. It is a conscious effort. Health does not happen by accident. And for the most part, neither does happiness. So you can't just go along and think, okay, well, I'm just going to wait for happiness to come along. Part of it is a conscious decision on your part to be happy about certain things. So kind of the same concept there. Happiness is definitely a state of mind. Some of the ways to describe happiness, because I understand about feeling happy and being happy, and they're similar, but they're not really the same. So some synonyms of happy is feeling joy, contentment, satisfaction, right? And finding, one that I thought was really interesting was finding meaning in your life, right? Because that's important. If you know why you're here and what your purpose is, if you have a mission statement, it's a little bit easier to find joy and happiness in your life than if you don't know why you're here, what you're doing, then it can be really a struggle. So for me, some of the things that make me happy, I already know, right? I've thought about this before. At my age, I'm all about how things make me feel versus just, experiences and things like that. Obviously, I want to learn from them, but I already know what makes me happy. So there are times when, if I'm not feeling so great, I can actually initiate one of these things to put myself in a better mood. Does that make sense? things that make me happy. Obviously, my family. My kids are my world. I have a great family. I'm super proud of all of them. And one of the things I absolutely love are, of course, family events. So whether it's going on a family trip, and which, of course, now that my kids are a bit older and they're starting to leave home, that is super, super important to me. And I already kind of in my head am planning, what's going to happen when they're off and married and what's going to happen with grandkids. To me, that gives me joy. That makes me happy, spending time with them. Memories, great memories. One of the things several years ago I decided to do, my kids, I think everybody's kids, you give them a present, they're going to play with it for 2 seconds, and then they're going to be unhappy with it and get bored and move on. So my goal was to start creating memories with my family. And so instead of giving a bunch of Christmas gifts, we would go on a trip, which last year we did. We went to Disneyland and spent a week together down in California, and it was a lot of fun. And of course, my kids they still talk about trips that we took years and years and years ago because they remember it as being fun and it was a happy time for them. So memories can be wonderful. Now, one caveat is that you can get to the point where you're constantly remembering happiness in the past memories that you're so focused behind that you don't focus on what is happy in the present moment and in the future. But again, you can create that. So that's also a choice. Other things I love. I love the fall. Now I love the summer because I don't like to be cold. So I'm already struggling with the weather and it's already getting under my skin, but I love Halloween. I love Thanksgiving. I love the colors of fall. I love the smells, all those kind of things. Those make me happy. I absolutely love to feel the sense of accomplishment. I'm definitely a list person. I make a list. I check things off as I get it done. That it makes me happy. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel satisfied to accomplish something, especially if it's something that I put into motion or project that I'm working on. Planning something new makes me happy. I know that sounds weird. I love to brainstorm. Is that bizarre? I love to sit down with my notebook and a pencil and just think about something and really just writing things out. Like I've already got a list going for Thanksgiving. What are we going to have? Who's coming? I love those kind of things. That makes me happy. I do love making a difference in somebody's lives, and I don't need a whole lot of fanfare. I just want to know that somebody, had a better day because I smiled at them or because I helped them accomplish something. I do like that. I love to put on good music. You might never see this, but I love to put on good music and just dance. Believe it or not, I like to put on music and clean the house too sometimes, but just a bebop around and the beat makes me feel good. I love funny movies. Not a big fan of horror, so all of you that watch these clown movies, not my gig. You're not gonna catch me there. I do love feel good movies, but I love comedy because, of course, anything with a reason to laugh and smile, of course, is beneficial to me. I will admit I don't watch a whole lot of news anymore. Do I pay attention? I do. I feel like if it's something that I really need to know, I'm going to hear about it, whether it's through social media or from friends or clients. I'm going to hear about some of the crazy things or the problem is that there's so much negativity. The majority of the news these days follows all these horrible things, and they don't post enough and they don't do enough talks and stories on all the positive, amazing things that happen in the world. And so I do choose a little bit to distance myself from that on purpose because I know that a lot of times that can actually affect my mood, to be really, really bothered by that. So, my mother used to say, be in the world, but not of the world. So I totally get it. That's kind of where I'm going with that. I love to bake. Yes, during the holidays, believe it or not, I become Betty Friggin Crocker. It makes me feel good. It makes me relaxed. I don't necessarily eat it all because, of course, we know that Melissa doesn't do a whole lot of sugar. But I love the smell of it. I like to try new recipes off Pinterest. Yes, I'm definitely a girl, and I love that kind of stuff. I also like to challenge myself. I like whatever it is, trying something new, working out with people that are really going to push my buttons or kick my butt. I love those kind of things. I actually like to spend a little bit of alone time. I do spend a lot of time with people and crowds in public because of what I do, and I love it. Don't get me wrong, I totally love it, but because I'm an introvert and I get my energy from being by myself, I actually, once in a while I'm home alone. It's crazy. I don't know how that happens, but maybe the kids are at school and people are off at work and I'm by myself, and I actually quite enjoy that for a little while. So that's something that I really like. I also really like to do things for people anonymously, like really great things. Years ago, we would every Thanksgiving we get together as a family and find another family that needed Thanksgiving food, and we would very quietly drop things on their door, ring the doorbell, and run. I just love that, because why not? Why not make the world a better place at this point? Even if nobody knows who it is, it makes me feel good. So those things give me joy. I'm sure I could come up with more, but they give me joy and they cause happiness. So those are things that I look for. Now, on Inc.com, they actually had a list of things that have been scientifically proven to help make you happier. And some of these are things that I had already thought about, but some of them I just found kind of interesting, and some of them are just common sense, right? So things that they say are scientifically proven to help cause happiness. Number one, exercise. And they said as little as 7 minutes can make a difference, because of course endorphins, and it just makes you feel like you're accomplishing something, you're putting forth activity. That definitely can help you feel happier. Same thing with sleep. When those of us that have been short on sleep before know that it's hard, we feel crummy, we're really sensitive to negative emotions. And so, getting enough sleep can help us avoid a lot of negativity. Spending more time with family and friends. Sometimes we spend way too much on the wrong thing, way too much time, like work. And not that you shouldn't spend time on work, but if that's all you do, life is too short. Spending time with the people that we care about most is important. Get outside more. Now, in today's day and age, with all the electronics and the social media, we find ourselves indoors way too much. Get outside. There's something about that air, the freshness. As a matter of fact, I believe that the researched perfect temperature for happiness is 57 degrees. I'm going to disagree, because by then I am freezing my tuchus. I don't like it to be that cold, but getting outside can make a difference. And think about that vitamin D that we get from being out in the sun. The natural sunlight obviously is a definite benefit in our happiness. And we know the downside to not getting enough sun. Of course, people that live in areas that don't get a lot of sun during the winter have some depression issues. So helping others, kind of talked about that. That definitely scientifically helps you to feel happiness. Practice smiling. Yes. So again, even if you don't feel like it, the more that you practice it, just those muscles being involved can actually help you feel happy. It can also help reduce pain, help improved mood, and also help you think better, which I found fascinating. Plan a trip. Even if you don't take it, plan a trip somewhere. Where would you like to go? Why would it make you excited? Anytime you have anticipation of doing something fun and amazing that makes you happy, that can help as well. And you know what? This last year, I did that. I did just that. I needed a vacation. We hadn't had a vacation in 7 years, so I planned one. And it was awesome. It was something that was definitely needed in our lives. Meditate. Sometimes we need to rewire our brain and kind of focus on the things that are happier in our life. And so that was one of the topics that they had there as well. So here's some tips for me. I really do believe that part of being happy really does come down to our attitude and how we choose to respond to the things that happen in our life. So again, you're going to have to do that on purpose, but here's a few tips that may help you. Okay. So first of all, again, you're going to have to choose to be happy on purpose. So if you're kind of a negative Nelly, or you tend to be a little bit pessimistic, you're going to have to make the choice, and you might have to ask for help from people around you, the people in your life. Because part of it's accountability. Just like your health goals, setting a goal to be happier, you're going to have some accountability on that to make sure you're doing the things that will get you there. Another one is to choose gratitude. I think sometimes we forget about all the blessings in our life and all the wonderful things that are happening until we don't have those things anymore. So while you have them, be grateful. And on top of that, every once in a while, just stop for a moment and take a look around and see just everything that you can see and feel. Sometimes we're at such fast pace, we stop to forget the things that maybe once upon a time as a kid, when we were little and we could look around, we would hear the birds chirp and we'd see the sun and we'd see the grass move and the trees. We don't always see that anymore. And all those things in general are a miracle as well. So sometimes you have to just stop and take a moment. Be forgiving. Bitterness is not helpful. You can't be happy if you're bitter about a situation or with a person. Watching sometimes pride get in the way of families and friends, and all of a sudden it just rips people apart. That doesn't cause happiness. So choosing to forgive others for whatever reason. There's nothing beneficial to being angry and being bitter. And I really work hard. Like I said, I've had people hurt my feelings. I've had people be really mean to me. You know what? Sometimes you have to go, okay, well, whose problem is it? It's not mine. You know what? Maybe they have an issue that I don't know about. It doesn't really matter. They need to figure that out, but they can do that on their own. You have to forgive and forget. Counteract the negative thoughts. If you catch yourself, we all have those little voices in our head, the little records that play, and you have to stop. You have to say cancel, whatever it is, and you have to purposely put a positive thought there, because if you let that run, it's going to take over your life or take over your day. Decide what actually makes you happy. It's going to be different for different things for different people. What makes me happy may not make you happy. So you have to decide what your core values are so that you can know what things you should be looking for, what things you should place in your life in order to be happy. I found an interesting one. Sometimes you have to look back and see what some of those negative experiences, they may have benefited you in another way that you didn't realize at the time. There are some things in my life that happened just specifically in a certain way that at the time were really frustrating. But now looking back on them, I realized that because of those things, now all these crazy, wonderful things happened that could not have happened if those bad things didn't happen, or those frustrating things. So sometimes it might be a learning experience. You might just need to learn, take a lesson from that. Sometimes, again, you lose your job and you find a much, much better one, although you were devastated from the loss of your job. So sometimes learning from that experience might be important. Work on being optimistic. Yes, I know. There are people that are the glass is half empty, and there are people that are the glass is half full. You have to work. If you're not one of the half full people, you're gonna have to work at it and work on being optimistic. Again, really watch your self-talk. That is a big one, especially with a lot of people that I work with. I hear a lot of just self-defeating comments and voices. I'm not a good person. I'm a horrible person. Of course, if you tell yourself that, if you've heard of self-fulfilling prophecy, if you consistently tell yourself you're a horrible person, you're going to absolutely believe it. You have to use positive affirmations and learn to treat yourself in a better light. You might have to talk to yourself. I cheer for myself out loud all the time. People think I'm weird. Like, Melissa, that was awesome. Good job, girl. Because of course it doesn't benefit me I do it. I already know that I do it. I catch myself doing it all the time. We are our own worst critic. So I catch myself all the time being negative, and I have to stop and put a new thought in place in order to get past that. Talked about using positive affirmations. Super simple, guys. They just need to be positive, present tense, and personal. Your mind does not know the difference. Your subconscious does not know the difference between real and make-believe. So if you tell yourself what you are, that you could be whatever it is that you want to be, your subconscious will help you work to get there. And I find that a fascinating, wonderful option in order to get where you want to go. And on top of that, visualize putting yourself in that place that you want to be. Where is it that you want to be? That positive. Put yourself there, see yourself there, because that helps, again, get you where you want to go. Biggest one, have self-compassion. Some of the things I've heard people say to themselves, I know they wouldn't say that to someone they love, so why are they saying it to themselves? We all do it, but you got to stop, right? Nobody can stop that for you. You're going to have to stop it yourself. Also, make sure that you're taking good care of yourself. If you get up every morning and you feel like a slob, and you go to the gym and you come home and you just sit around in your sweats and you never get changed, you never get dressed up, of course you're not going to feel super great about yourself. It's really hard to be positive and be happy if you're not doing things for your self-care. I do things on purpose. Yeah, I might go to the gym and push out some weights, but I go and I be girly for a while, and I get my toes done, and I take my daughters and we do things together, because it makes me feel good. It makes me feel pretty, and that makes me happy as well. Plus, I want to teach them to have really great self-esteem. So if my daughters see me doing things for myself and they do it as well, I want them to be happy, of course. If you have not solved a past trauma, I know I mention this from time to time when we talk about more life experience issues. If there's something traumatic that has happened in your past that you haven't resolved, you need to take care of it. I think for some people, they never get past the issue. And of course, it's really difficult to be happy when you can't get past that situation. So whether get professional help, most of the time that's going to be what it's going to take. You know, I always tell people, even the trainer has a trainer because she wants to be pushed. I need that professional help because I need somebody to guide me through it. You might need somebody to guide you through the situation to be able to overcome it, whether it's a counselor, a life coach. Find somebody that can help you get past that issue so that you can find ways to be happy. And I think that was the majority of my tips. So final thought here, you know, being happy doesn't mean you're never going to be sad. I mean, it just can't be. You can't know the light without the dark. You can't be happy if you don't know sad. There's going to be life experiences that are obviously going to be difficult. There's going to be obstacles. That's part of life. That's how we learn. That's how we get strong. That's how we progress. So it's not that you shouldn't ask. I mean, of course, we don't want the negative things to happen, but know that those are part of life and that they're going to happen. There's no way that you can stop that. And you are not individual. You're not the only one that it happens to. We all have problems. We all have issues. And I heard somebody once say, you know, if we were to all throw our problems in one big pile and have to pick some new ones out, we'd all go back to our own problems because at least we know how to deal with them at the moment. And it's at least familiar. So yeah, I know that's a little weird, but you know, again, we never said that life would be easy. We just know that in order to get where we want to go, we just have to keep getting back up, right? Every time we get knocked down, we have to get back up. So there you go. Hopefully that helps you in some ways to be happy. You know, if you need more ideas or want to talk, please leave a message below, or you can also direct message me through Facebook. You can also email me at melissa@fillmorefitness.com. I do respond to almost everything. Don't call me because I don't know. I'm not very good at calling people back. But if you text, message, or something in that nature, I will get back to you because you know what? I do care. So hi, Sierra. Anyway, have an incredible night. I am headed off to get my butt kicked and then go to bed because I'm ready for that. So have an incredible evening, and that's real life according to me tonight, guys. Have a good one.